Namato Ratana Tayassa. May I pay homage to Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my older teachers. Hello everyone, good evening. Today is 1st of May, Friday 1st of May, so a new month began, 2020. So 1st of May, Labor Day. As usual, I am here with you all on this night to be with you and adding you one extra activity that you can come and join with me, and also practicing together. Hello everyone. Hi Karin, Margaret, Colin, Manish, Sharala. I hope you all enjoying not that good weather here, just showering rain falls. I was preparing out there outside of the center and suddenly realized it's going to rain, so I rushed into the shrine room. So hi everyone. Yes, good. Dhanmaya, Prani, John, Colin. Yes, good evening everyone. So as usual, I'm back here on at 6:30 just to be with you, not isolating you, here to befriend and sharing different things with you. I heard that, I read the news that in Grampian, which means the Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire, the number of people infected increase up to 800, and particularly in Aberdeen Hospital there are over about 13 people in ICU now. So, and as a result, NHS Grampian is announcing to follow the strict rule measure of this so-called self-distancing or social distance, and all the measures should follow strictly in order to keep everyone safe. So this is quite a worrying at the moment, which I can see. And this news just published just an hour ago. So those who are listening from Aberdeen, I would encourage you to follow the social distance, as the number of coronavirus affected people increased this week in Aberdeen. So be careful and extra aware of things around as you go to the shop or as you go to the walk, just to be mindful as you go in, as you go out. So if possible, stay inside at home. So like that. And there is obviously, because of this coronavirus effect, there are people stuck in different places, different countries. As a tourist, they went and they stuck. There was a monk. He was a Scottish monk and been a monk for 49, almost 50, half a century, being a monk, and stayed in Thailand and stayed in China and Japan. And then recently, March, he went to visit in Nepal, and Nepal for just 2 weeks. And by the time when he was about to come back, he couldn't come because the lockdown and all the borders are closed. So he is living in Nepal with no visa, but staying at temple. In the meantime, there is another lady from Turkey. She used to live in Thailand and went to Nepal for a visit, and she also stuck there, and she she also has taken refuge, help from the temple and staying in a temple. And until now, I realized that in Nepal, this lockdown is really, really serious. All the villagers and all the so-called communities coming together and enforcing this lockdown rules by themselves, not waiting for anyone to come or any police to come and measure or supervise it. So I was told when I was talking to get some help to get this lady have accommodation, that if you are coming from different places or different villages coming to this new city, then there will be a strict investigation and quarantine. If not following that, then will be send them go back like that. So which is quite a strict quarantine or lockdown process going on in Nepal. Similarly, in Thailand as well, there are plenty of foreigners on visit for touring, and now they cannot go anywhere, they cannot come back or go to their countries. So as a result, all the Buddhist temples become a place to feed them and to give them shelter and living in the temples, since if you're staying in hotels, there will be a cost, and a food will be a cost too. But now the Buddhist centers and monasteries in Thailand helping to the visitors or the foreigners, those who are visiting in Thailand. And obviously this is a part of all the Buddhist temples in Thailand that organizing help to all, not just the foreigners but also the local people immensely. And that is quite a thing that in Thailand is happening, that every temple is giving food and shelter to the people, and as well as foreigners too. When I saw the news, I felt like this is a compassion, this is a kindness, and this should be done. And there is another monk in Thailand who used to be very famous, and he is still famous. He offered a job for those who hasn't got job and worried about their future, and maybe because of this economic crisis, along with this COVID, quite a lot of people took their life. And on that basis, he come out and announced that do not think to take your life, but come and work with the temple, picking up mangoes and fruits, and you can sell it too. But all he wanted was do not be lazy and not be a drunkard, and what is next one? Not drinker and not lazy and not stealer, or the one who steals. If you have three qualities, then you can go and stay with him. So he will provide you a job as well as shelter and all the necessary eatings, food. So that is what's going on around in these two countries. And also heard that there are other countries finding quite difficult too. There's a person, there is a man who's living in Philippines, and he's finding it really difficult too, because in Philippines they have also imposed this lockdown very strictly and not allowed to go around. And I even heard that if you go out, then you will be even shot. So that's why this is quite a difficult time, not just for us, but also people all around. And everyone has a fear of getting this virus, and this fear causes a lot of other mental disruptions as well, and which we need to be aware of that and considering that as well. in a way, we are very lucky here in the UK so far, because we have good facilities of all food, and all the public services are still online, and all the governments and the schoolings are all online you can do, so it is quite a privilege to have it. Only matter is the lockdown is not that strict compared to other countries, which I think as in UK or in Scotland we should be more wiser and follow these measures, so then we can keep the number low. So that is what I have come across tonight, and then I thought I just will share with you. There's another information I found very interesting, that if you use a mask, that also prevent and help as well. There is a picture coming out and going around in the social media that a person who has got a virus, or as a carrier, if he or she uses a mask, but a person who hasn't got any virus, she doesn't, then there is a 70% of a chance that that person will get the virus. In the same time, but if a person who has got the positive result and she is using the mask, and a person who hasn't got is not using, then there is about 20% the possibility that the person will get the virus. But in the same time, if both are using, then there is a very less possible to spread from one to another. So I think there is not, it is using a mask is not the ultimate solution, but at least it can prevent in certain degree. So if you are if you have to go out, then and associate with other people, or even having a social distance, I would encourage you to use the masks as well. Okay, so that is, and I got a question about the virus, and then this is, I think the question is it our karma to have the virus and affected by the virus condition? I think one of the nights I mentioned that there are certain topics that I normally do not touch, and one of them is the karma, or the karma, and the nibbana, and the rebirth. And now it seems that I have to speak on those, despite of my not willing to say, but anyway, so karma actually, in my understanding, is not the Buddhist concept. It should be called kamma, because karma is more associated with the so-called Atman, or the God, and then whereas kamma is about the intentional work. So whatever you do with your intention, whether you are speaking, whether you are doing something physically, or whether you are thinking, then that is regarded as the karma. That is regarded as a karma. So if you are saying karma, then the connotation of that karma is more of like a definite, and you cannot change it. Whereas kamma is more of a like your intentional work, your intention that defines what you're doing. So intention is the karma according to the Buddhism. And there among the Buddhist principles or teachings, karma is one of the most misunderstood topic in Buddhist philosophy. Okay, and I have jotted down a little bit here that why it is, and But before going on to there, whatever we do that defines or that modifies our understanding and our consciousness. So what we do that simply modifies our consciousness, and if you are doing it again and again and again, then that definitely changes the way we perceive things. And that's also, as you do it again and again, that changes your behavior. So it's called building the character. So that's why I think I mentioned as well that if you want to change your habit and if you want to change your character, you have to do it again and again, repeatedly doing it. So that's same. If you're intentionally doing it same thing again and again, then that basically will change your character, and then that changing character will influence that influence your behavior and the way you experience your behavior and the way you experience things. So this is the action, this is the karma. So that's what karma in according to Buddhism means, simply action that you have done with your intention, and that intentionally done action will modify your consciousness or your understanding, and that also changes your character, and that affects your behavior and also the way you experience things. And now here the karma, there are two types of a karma. One is a negative and one is positive. When we talk about the negative karma or negative actions, that basically based on greed, hatred and ignorance, and on the basis of that greed, again, what time is now? On the basis of the greed and hatred, if we are committing something, then obviously that brings the negative results. But whereas if you're doing with a kindness, with love and with generosity, then that brings positive energy, that brings the positivity in oneself and then to others. And now in terms of the misunderstanding of the karma, the first misunderstanding is that everything that happened due to the karma, and in fact that is not. There is no single thing happens with a single cause, and that's the teachings of the Buddha. In order to happen one incident, it has to have certain other effects or other causes too. So that's why there is no single cause for any one action. There's multiple causes for one single action, and that's called the niyamas. So Buddha called it niyama dhammas. There are 5 principles that when these 5 principles comes together, only then one action takes place. And so within these 5 principles, one of them is the karma. So in order to happen one thing, it's like there is a biological effect, there is a environmental effect, and there is a physical effect, and then there is a psychological effect, called the psychological law. And only then one karma is also one part of the share in happening any incident. It's like 20% of one action or one incident that took place based on the karma, not as 100%. And the second is, there is a misconception that the karma or karma we cannot change. And now, if we cannot change the karma, then there is this theory, then we cannot take all the Buddha's teachings as the true. All the Buddhism will be flawed, not the right. It's a flawed. So that's why karma can be changed, but not the previous one, but the coming one. Yeah? So that's why I think I mentioned one of the previous talks that Buddhism is basically the effort to change. So you have your effort, so you are the boss who can change the destiny or the change the condition. So that's why on that basis karma is simply conditioned by it but not determined by it. So we are not determined, or we are not determined by the karma that I would be like this at all the time. It doesn't matter how many lives I'm coming back. Whereas Buddha, what the Buddha is simply saying is that karma has conditioned us, but we are not determined by it. We can change it. So that's why Buddhism also known as the Viryavada. Okay, the philosophy that you can change by your own action. Okay, so that's the second one. And the third one is that there is a misconception that because of the past karma, we are now completely, what we are now is the complete result of what we have done in the past. And that's again correlates to the first misconception of what I have said, that it's only the 20% of what we are now is the result from the past. And again, this is not the karma when we are thinking of it, when looking at it. It is the result, not the karma. That's why in Buddhism it's called karma vipaka. The result is not called as the karma as we normally know. It's called vipaka, the result. Okay? And then the last misconception is that we will be as we are, what we have done now. Okay? What we have done now. And that's again, as I said in the first misconception, it's only the 20% of it, not a whole. Okay? Not the all of it. So when we understand that karma, what we can see that all the various things happening in this time, then we cannot define that this is happening because of our past karma. There is a possibility, okay, we cannot define it as it is true. And in terms of the concept of the karma, Buddha even said that it is not the normal, those who still have got the kilesas, the defiled mind, to comprehend the concept of the karma. Only one who has freed from all the defilements able to comprehend the concept of the karma in its true detail. So that's why this is just a short a description of what karma is and what karma is not, and what it is called in Buddhism, and we can change it. We are not determined by the karma at all. If we are determined by the karma, then that means there is no difference than any other beliefs and a religion that says we are what we were created by, or based on everything is based on God's will. But here it's not about the God's will, but it's your choice. You can change. It's you who change the destiny. So that's why the various things again, we cannot define it is the one. But despite of you have tried, and despite of you have quarantined yourself, followed all the measures, and then you got it, then there is a possibility that it may be your karma. But again, there is another perspective that despite of having those measures or those rules, and you neglect and mindlessly you go out and associate with other people and you got the virus, then again it is not your karma, the previous karma, but your present karma defined it to be like that. And again, obviously sometimes it can be a herd, kind of a herd infection. So somehow we are in a group, or somehow we are living together, someone went out and then he got it or she got it, then it's spread to you, then that is also one reason you may get it, and that is also, it's called accidental karma, that can get it too. In terms of the death, again, there are 4 categories of a death, and which again we cannot define simply because their karma, or is it because their lifespan gone, or is it because it's time. It's not the time to discuss about is it or isn't, but the most important what it is that when you die, are you prepared to leave the body? Are you calm? Are you able to accept when it happens? So that is the most important, and if you are mindful with that, and then you will be able to accept and let it go and let be, rather than investigating why isn't like that, then it will be more helpful to keep yourself calm, keep yourself collected, and also it will pace for the next life. Okay, I offer this as a reflection for tonight, and I hope that I answered the question that you have asked on this karma. And if it's still not clear, you still can ask me further on that, and I will try to make it more clear again at the end. I am not enlightened, so I won't be able to comprehend it completely and explain it to you, right? So with this, may you be happy, peaceful and successful. Stay safe, take care, and we'll come back again tomorrow at 6:30 for the talk and chanting, and then a guided meditation at 7:30. If you can't make it for the talk and the chanting, I would encourage you to come for the guided meditation. Okay, so until then good night, and if you can follow continue this chanting and guided meditation, you may do so. Right, Sarala Ante, can I take this 21 easy if I do something with a good intention but other person don't like what I said? Okay, due to we have a little time, I cannot read all, so okay, I will keep it for tomorrow, Sarala, and then we'll explain it to you, because I cannot read on my mobile phone all the messages that you have written. I can read only 3 lines. Right, everyone, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow at 6:30 for the talk again. And also would like to thank you for all the donations that come through to for all the utility bills for the center. And with this, may you be happy, peaceful, and stay tuned in for the chanting and guided meditation tonight. If not, see you tomorrow. Good night.